Welcome to Immergio Podcast. Explore thoughts, experiences, and knowledge at the crossroads of language learning, teaching, and emerging technology.
Let's talk about something that can make or break a guest experience: communication. In hospitality, a simple miscommunication isn't just a little awkward. It actually costs you. We're talking bad reviews, a frustrated team, and for sure, lost revenue. So what if you could build a language training program that actually sticks? Today, we're going to walk through the exact blueprint to do just that. A strategy that delivers real, measurable results. Here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about the big communication gap that so many hotels just completely miss. Then, we'll dive into the 4 key parts of a program that works, starting with your team, creating content that's actually relevant, delivering it in a flexible way, and finally, proving that it all pays off. So let's just start with a hard truth, shall we? Generic, out-of-the-box language training is pretty much destined to fail in the hospitality world. I mean, think about it. When a guest is waiting and the pressure is on, your team doesn't need to remember some abstract grammar rule. They need the right words for that exact moment. Standard training just doesn't cut it. And that really brings us to a critical question for your own hotel. Is your current training actually helping your team, or is it just a box you're ticking off a list? Is it creating confident people who can solve problems, or is it just making them more frustrated? This really lays it all out, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the old way. Outdated textbooks, irrelevant words. It just leads to frustrated staff. But on the right, you see training as a real investment. You're using role-specific scenarios and real-world vocabulary to build teams that are truly confident. One of these costs you money, the other makes you money. It's that simple. So, how do we actually build that smarter program? Well, the foundation isn't some fancy software or a super thick textbook. Nope. It's all about having a deep, deep understanding of your team. This isn't about guessing what they need. It's about doing a real methodical analysis. The biggest, most important shift you can make is to stop thinking about English for hospitality as this one giant generic thing. You have to get way more specific. You've got to ask yourself, who exactly am I training, and what are the, say, 3 or 4 high-stakes conversations they absolutely have to get right every single day? And when you start to map it out, you see it, right? The language needed to handle a complaint at the front desk is just worlds away from what a server needs to discuss a nut allergy. And housekeeping? They have their own whole vocabulary for room status and guest requests. Each of these is its own little world, and your training has to reflect that. It's also so important to know where your people are really at. Forget these vague labels like beginner or intermediate. Using a clear framework like the A2 or B1 levels you see here is a total game changer. An A2 learner needs those foundational words. A B1 learner, they're ready to tackle more complex dialogues. This lets you give people challenges they can actually win. Okay, so once you know who you're training and what level they're at, then you can build the content. And the only rule here is relevance. The goal is so simple. Create lessons that are so practical, your staff can learn something today and literally use it on their shift tonight. This is where you just have to throw out those generic vocabulary lists. Your front desk team needs to know words like concierge and late checkout, not words for the airport. Your restaurant staff need nut allergy and still or sparkling. The vocabulary has to come directly from their day-to-day reality. And this right here, this is the guiding principle for everything. Don't use fake scenarios from a book. Train your staff using your actual menus. Have them role-play with your reservation system. Go through your real guest feedback, both good and bad. You want the training to feel exactly like the job. Now, you could create the absolute best content in the world, but it's totally useless if your team is too busy to actually use it. I mean, with their long shifts and unpredictable schedules, that old-school classroom training is just a non-starter. Delivering hospitality has to be all about flexibility. So, the answer is a model called blended learning. And honestly, it is perfect for this industry. It smartly separates learning the information from practicing it. You let them learn the vocabulary and phrases on their own time with online modules, But then you bring them together for live, hands-on sessions to role play and build that real-world confidence. So, what does this actually look like in a typical week? Well, it's a mix. Maybe about 40% is self-paced online stuff, another 25% is that crucial live role play, and the rest is a mix of quick quizzes on their phone and some on-the-job coaching. It's not a rigid schedule, it's more like a flexible recipe that fits into the real rhythm of a hotel. And this part is absolutely non-negotiable. The training has to be mobile first. You do this with something called microlearning, breaking everything down into tiny 5 or 10-minute chunks. This means an employee can complete a whole lesson on their coffee break or on the bus ride home. It makes learning feel effortless. And finally, we get to the most important part, proving that this whole thing actually works. This isn't just about feeling good about training. You have to be able to draw a straight, clear line from what you invested in training to what you see in your business revenue. When you get it right, it creates this incredible chain reaction. Tailored content builds confident staff. Confident staff deliver amazing service. Amazing service creates happy guests. And you know what happy guests do? They are the engine of a profitable business. It's a clear, direct path from training to your bottom line. And we're not talking about fuzzy, vague outcomes. We are talking about hard numbers. You will see this impact in your guest satisfaction scores. You'll see it in boosted revenue from better upselling and more guests coming back. And you'll even see it in lower costs because your operations will be more efficient. This is where training more than pays for itself. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Now that you've got the blueprint, what's the one communication breakdown happening on your team right now that you could fix first? Answering that one question, well, that's the first step to putting this all into action. That's where you start.